Welcome back, everybody. It's a conversation with Chrissy. We asked you to write in and send Chrissy your questions. And today, I'm going to pose Chrissy questions that you've asked. You want to know from a Filipina, from my beautiful wife, like, why is she with me? I'm so old.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to
The Bukidnon Mountains. It's so windy up here.
Welcome to the Philippines.
It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're up in the mountains of the Bukidnon. It's a beautiful day, but it's so windy. I hope our microphones are not going.
My hair's so messy now.
Isn't she beautiful? Look, this is what everybody wants. Everybody wants a girl like Chrissy. And they all want to know. You know what the number one question is, Chrissy?
What's the number one question?
Do you have any more sisters?
Yes, but she's 7 years old.
I know she turned 8.
She's gonna turn 8 this year.
Okay.
But
so you got 10 years. Come back to us in 10 years.
For those 37-year-old Western man, come back in
10 years.
30 years.
30. Oh my God. Okay. The number 2 question we get is, Rob and Chrissy, why don't you set up a dating matchmaking service? This is so difficult, and we would trust you if you would just introduce us to good Filipinas.
Well, that's not the way to go, actually, because it's okay when it's just my sister or my relatives, because I really know the person. But if it's just a friend or a friend of friends, I don't know who she is. She might be a scammer, and I'm not gonna introduce a scammer to Western men.
Yeah, and there's a very serious anti-trafficking laws.
That too.
There are services. There's one called A Foreign Affair, and they have offices in Cebu City, Manila, Davao. They go after guys who are willing to part with their money freely, and they have these banquets and speed dating, and they have offices where you can arrange a date if you pay for membership. We've had about 15 clients utilize those services. A few of them were happy, but quite a few of them were frustrated. We don't usually recommend it, but they have that kind of matchmaking service. I think it's so much easier to either do online or boots on the ground. And
Yeah.
okay, so Chrissy, what's going on? Your husband is paying family members' salaries, sending family members to college. You're taking advantage of this man.
Actually not, because family or not, we're still gonna pay for a driver, a nanny, a worker in our house. Actually, we saved a lot from our construction here in the mountain because we used a family member. We had a deal, a very reasonable deal, and like what they said, just forget whatever they say about you being taken advantage. And of course, we have our own business, our YouTube channel, our consulting business, and I am contributing a little bit.
Yeah, we don't want to get too...
Yeah.
But Chrissy, you got this side hustle. People want to know, is it true? Do you have real customers for this service?
Yeah, of course, a lot. Like, I'm fully booked this week.
So Chrissy...
I have no date.
Can only do 6 a week, and this week you are fully booked.
Yeah.
No, it's not every week that you're fully booked.
Not every week.
Right, but the business
But we do videos.
Yeah,
We have a lot
do
of
consulting also.
responsibilities.
Yeah. Chrissy, your name is on Rob's new book.
Yes.
Did you really help write that book?
I did. I helped a little bit, but it's like it's more on your brain, and I'm just like a flavor in that book. But you know.
But you have tips at the end of every chapter. It says Chrissy's tip.
Oh yeah, on the second book. Yep.
Yeah, and we have another book called A Dumaguete
Guide.
City Guide 2026. I think it's almost 100 pages. Chrissy has tips on what to do when you go to Dumaguete every single chapter.
Yes.
We've been there 4 times. Now, we wrote a guidebook, even though we don't live there. So don't hate on us if you don't think it's the greatest guidebook in the whole world, but we think it's pretty good. We put a lot of work into it. People are fascinated with Dumaguete because so many vloggers are from Dumaguete. It just creates this, like, I suppose if people want to go to Mayberry because they watch the TV show where it's filmed in Mayberry.
Yeah, but you know what? I guess as the time passes, the people that were fascinated about Dumaguete have changed their mind already. They picked another places, Bacolod, Davao, even Cagayan de Oro City.
Right.
So it's not as the same as before, because even the vloggers from Dumaguete are now like kind of like slowly
testing other waters.
Yeah, packing up.
I think there's 3 flavors. There's the guy who goes right to Dumaguete and rents 3 months, 6 months, a year and says, I saw it on video, I'm done. There's the guy who does the tour for 45 days around the Philippines and tests Davao and Panglao and Boracay and Iloilo and Baguio, and then he decides maybe yes, Dumaguete, maybe no. And then there's the guy who goes and tests it out for 3 months, 4 months, but then starts to travel around the Philippines. For us, what do you think? There's too many foreigners in Dumaguete, don't you think?
Yeah, and actually, we're here in CDO because this is our sweet spot. You know, it's very accessible for me to go back to my hometown and for my parents and, you know, relatives to come and visit. We don't have to book a flight, which is very expensive. Or if I'm going to go back, I don't have to spend a lot of days because some of the days will be spent on
in the airport,
traveling, yeah, things like that. And it depends on where your Filipinas located as well. So if your Filipinas located somewhere in an area where, no, not ideal to go to, but there's a sweet spot nearby, I think that will be affecting your decision on where to live in the Philippines.
Yeah. Actually, I think more people would live in Dumaguete if they didn't want to live near their Filipinas hometowns. And 1 or 2 hours away from where your Filipinas family is seems to be the best place to locate yourself. So that's why so many of the foreigners are spread out.
Yeah.
Now, Chrissy, we just came back from BGC, and we're going back again soon. And it's a part of BGC we had never been to.
In Uptown, BGC.
Uptown, across the street from Uptown Mall, above the Landers, which is like a Costco, and just a 10-minute walk from St. Luke's and a 10-minute walk from High Street.
Yeah.
What did you think? You've been to Makati 2 times. You've been to BGC by the Venetian Mall, and what's the name of that? Those towers we were in? McKinley Place. We had stayed there. What's your impression of this Uptown area we went to and we're going back to?
The common word that I can describe the places is just fancy.
Fancy.
And very modern.
The streets were broad, wide, the sidewalks. There were places to go walking. It wasn't cheap. It was about 40% more expensive than here.
Yes, and as a Filipina who grew up in the province, it's nice to experience those places for like a short period of time. But when it comes to like long term or living there, not my sweet spot.
Next question. How can you eat that balut, that duck egg? How could you do it?
It's just a matter of experience.
Well, it's a 17-day partially fertilized duck egg with the fur and you can see the face of the duck when you eat it.
It's just like my question, how can you eat this raw vegetables? It's just the same as like that.
Is that the strangest thing you see me eat, raw vegetables?
Not our normal food. Yeah. But, you know, here in the Philippines, especially for those who grew up in the province, there's a lot of exotic food that they eat. And for them, it's normal. For you, it's not. But for them, it's normal. And it became delicacies. It become like a, you know, special treat in the province.
Okay, next question. What's up with the breadwinner situation here? If somebody in the family does well, goes overseas, meets a foreigner, gets a great job, why is it their responsibility to pay for everybody in the family?
It's a very sensitive topic here, even with the Filipino people, because they really want to, you know, forget about that tradition. It's putting a lot of pressure to the eldest, just like me.
Is it true that if you're not married and you go to the city and you make X, you subtract your apartment and your food from X, and you're supposed to send half of the remaining money to your family? Is that these bees after me? Is that accurate?
For a lot of people, but it doesn't mean you don't have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice to not do it and to do it.
To pay but the consequences of not doing it.
Yes, you will just become a bad person.
Okay. Now, is it true that when you get married, the obligation, when you have married, you have children, is the obligation towards the parents and the family greatly reduced?
Yeah, because you are already starting your own family, as what they said. But only with Filipino men. When a Filipino marries the foreigner, it's a different story. Because I don't know about my family, maybe they're expecting, they're just not saying it. But most of the time, the family will be expecting that she married a Western man. So she has more resources to help us.
Well, it's probably true. We first met, Chrissy. I was very conservative. We weren't doing YouTube. You had been a certified school teacher, and you were making around $400 US per month. And I gave you roughly half your salary. I didn't want you to work. And we made a deal. You can do whatever you want with it. What percentage of that salary were you sending home?
Not much, because they're not really asking.
They all had jobs.
Yeah, they all have jobs. My sister was still working in Manila at that time. And I may be just lucky that my family is not like the other families that putting pressure on me when it comes to financial. Well, in fact, this arrangement that we had right now, they're not the one who asked for it.
It's
we
true.
offered it.
We tested whether they would fit in. No, it's not without challenges to have family members on the payroll.
It comes with a package, a challenge.
Pluses and minuses, really. There's, when you leave your child with a family member, you have peace of mind. And Uncle James helping us build at a greatly reduced cost. But yeah, they're family members, and people can be sensitive, and you got to manage them a little differently. And, some people think you're crazy to hire a family member, but these are payroll amounts we would pay for anyway.
Yeah.
And I always tell men, until you're 69, the sweet spot is a woman 26 to 29 with maybe 1 or 2 children. What is going on with a Filipina when she's 27, 28? She's beautiful, she's educated, maybe a husband cheated on her, a husband died in a motorcycle accident, a husband ran off and did drugs. What is motivating her to go online and meet a foreigner at that particular time in her life? And what are her other options to become a breadwinner for her family? Like $400 as a teacher isn't going to get it done.
First option is to work abroad, like to work as a domestic helper in UAE, in Kuwait, and all that, so that she can fulfill the breadwinner status, right? The second is, of course, a Filipina always want to have a partner, have a husband or a boyfriend, and because of the experiences that she had before with the local men, they would want to try, but in a different country. So, that's why there's a lot of women who failed in their previous relationship that will proceed to the foreigner instead of looking for local men anymore.
There's tens of thousands of women like you out there in the smaller towns who are educated and beautiful, and they have body counts of 0 or 1 or 2. How does that happen? How do you get to 28 years old and have such a small history of relationships?
I think because they're like more career-oriented and they're more focused on work. And it's not that there's also a lot of women that got a lot of multiple body counts, even though they're educated and, especially when they think that they're a very independent woman. They don't want to commit.
So it's not everyone.
Not everyone.
But I always say, because they have so many uncles and cousins, they couldn't get around without anybody seeing what they're up to. And so, Chrissy, a Filipino woman doesn't date. She wouldn't go on a date Monday night and another date in town Friday night.
With different
what
men.
would happen if in a town of 50,000 people, if you went out to dinner with Roger on Monday and Sam on Friday? If people saw you, if word got out you were 2 different foreign men in the same week, what would happen to your reputation?
It will just gonna degraded. Like, you will be called, even though you're not a bar girl or you're not doing that kind of job, they will conclude that you are, you're a flirt, something like that. Very bad name if they will see you dating with multiple men at the same time.
Chrissy, what's up with the noise in the Philippines? The roosters, the dogs, the karaoke. When you're born, I know the roosters are going and the dogs are barking. Do you hear it? Do you hear the roosters? Do you hear the dogs? Do you hear the screaming kids?
It's the music in the Philippines. It's our morning music, our morning alarm.
People want to know, does the noise actually get heard? Because it drives Western men to distraction. But do you hear it?
Psychologically, we are already conditioned with the noise. Like, we hear it, but it doesn't affect us anymore, Like, sometimes there's a tendency that the neighbor did not do the karaoke, there's no dog barking, there's no rooster, and we will think, why there's something wrong today? There's something wrong. It's so quiet. And that's the only time we will realize
here's
it's so noisy.
a very important question. David writes in, I'm 63 years old from North Carolina, and I got a serious dad bod. Would a beautiful Filipina like you find me attractive?
Yes.
Why do Filipinos like dad bods?
I don't know. It's like a package. When we see that kind of body, the gesture, the look, what we see is maturity, stability, they will say, oh, you will see ATM. Some of Filipino will see that way too, but most of the good Filipinas will see you as the stability, maturity, and a leader.
A lot of men say, hey, we don't have your budget. We don't have a YouTube channel. I only have $1,500 a month. I'm going to go to the mall and ask where the Jollibees is. What is she going to say when she finds out I'm not bringing her to America and I only have a $1,500 a month pension and no money in the bank? What is the typical Filipina, going to think about that?
Then the wrong Filipina will find it not enough, but the right Filipina will find it good.
A lot. $1,500 a month is way more than the average Filipino earner.
Yes, that's a lot. That's why you always recommend do not date a Filipina who've been dating foreigners before already, because they will,
well, why?
they can compare.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you, and I do say that, you don't say it, but I say this, all things being equal, we got bees. All things being equal, it'd be better if you didn't meet a Filipina who'd already dated a foreigner. He may have spoiled her.
Yeah.
And if she worked overseas as an OFW, she's kind of already left 1965 and entered the 2000s. What do you think about that?
It's not me telling that do not date those Filipinas because they're not the ideal one, but just be careful. If you have dated if you will be dating a Filipina who've been dating foreigners before, it's possible that she will see your money as not as good as before. But what if she's contented? She's the type of person that just gonna go with the flow. She really loves you, and whatever you can put on the table, she's okay with it. She's gonna go with the flow. And also, she's willing to live a lifestyle according to your budget.
So maybe not a deal breaker, but not ideal. People want to know, Chrissy, if this relationship is real, this 37-year age gap relationship.
I think our wedding was real.
Well, I'm going to see my kids soon. What should I tell them?
You don't have to tell them.
They can see it.
They can see it.
I think if you're leading your best life, people see it.
Yeah, you don't have to say a word. Let's just show them that this is real.
Like, if you went out here in the Philippines to an expat meetup and you met 10 expats and 10 Filipinas, what percentage of those 10 would be real relationships where the women are in love?
I'm not really exposed to a lot of population of Filipino foreigner relationship, but based on the group of friends that we had before, I think 98%. And then maybe 2 is like half real, half transactional.
98%. I would have said 40%.
Of the real relationship?
That
really?
the women are really in love.
I am the one who talked to the Filipinas.
Oh, okay.
So I am the one who knows if they're really in love with their husband. You mentioned about if this relationship is being real and do you have to tell the people that this is real? I think if we believe that this is real, we don't have to prove ourselves.
Yeah, I think people can see it. And that's why we come on camera together and kind of show that we know how to have a little fun.
Yes. And I think those people that are telling us you're not real, they are just like spices in our age gap relationship to, make it more like bolder and stronger.
We published our budget 3 weeks ago and we got a lot of hate mail.
I know.
People, they think if we hire your father and we hire your mother to be a caretaker in the mountain, that we fell into a trap, that you took advantage of me. Now, you mentioned earlier it was my idea. And we also mentioned that you've got this side hustle going on. Yeah. So I think in general, if you come here on a fixed pension of $2,000 and you end up having 6 Filipinos living with you, eating at your table, sending them to private school, having them taking care of them, yeah, maybe that would be applicable. Yeah. But we have a very unique situation. We give advice to those kind of people, but we don't actually live that life anymore. Our first year, we lived alone. Your son lived with your in-laws. Yeah. And we spent a year making sure that we were a real match and we wanted to get married. We didn't have anybody on the payroll. We didn't send anybody to private school at all.
I think it is going to be a bad idea if we did this kind of arrangement and we don't have the fund. I mean, like what they always say, live your life, do a lifestyle that matches your budget, or else you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be problematic, or you're going to go broke in the Philippines.
Let me ask you this. We see a lot of expats who lead with their money. They have very large pensions, and they send money before they meet the girl, and then when they get here, the money is the solution to everything. How do those relationships usually turn out?
You will never figure out if the connection you have with your Filipina is real love or just transaction, since you already have lit it with your financial, like how would you know it? Just like what you said, it's like the static and the
Signal and the noise, yeah.
Signal and the noise. Like once you to throw away a lot of money in your relationship, it's just a lot of noise, not the signal anymore. You will never know if the signal that she's showing is love or just a need.
Chrissy, if you had to give one word of advice to our audience, who they're all interested in meeting a woman like you, should they come boots on the ground? Should they go online? If they go online, how should they do it? What is your advice?
I think they should try online first. And if they fail, get the courage in yourself. Do not quit. Come here in the Philippines, try it boots on the ground. If they fail again, try being online while boots on the ground. And if you fail again, try to make connections with expats, and they may refer you to sister-in-laws. The bottom line is, if they're going to stay in the couch and watch us and forming imaginations in their head, nothing's going to happen. So what they should do?
Like Shawshank Redemption, either start dying or get off the couch and start living. Give us a call for a free 10-minute how do you do, a consulting appointment, Chrissy's open source investigation service. Whatever you do, do not get on an airplane and come meet a woman in the Philippines if you have not either conducted your own open source investigation with our free 13-page guide or contracted with Chrissy to do a professional 4 to 6 hour investigation. Many of the men have been here 2 and 3 times over multiple years, and the women do not get a clean sheet. Only about 50% pass.
What are you waiting for? Do your first step right now. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Always remember, fly smart, fly with confidence. Only here from Fly Me to the Philippines.